So, Silksong is finally out. But instead of a massive, unified celebration, the community is kind of being torn apart by this huge controversy. Instead of sharing stories about epic adventures, people are locked in this really intense debate about frustration and anger. So what in the world is going on with one of the most hyped games of the last decade?
Well, it all starts with a single number, 26,000, and, it's still climbing. Now, for a game with this much love and anticipation behind it, a number this big should be fantastic news. But it's not. So, what does it actually represent?
That's 26,000 negative reviews on Steam. And this isn't just a bunch of random complaints. It is a tidal wave of players all pointing to the exact same problem. The game is just brutally, punishingly hard. And it's forcing a conversation that, frankly, the entire games industry is watching very closely.
And let's be clear, we're not talking about people being just a little bit annoyed. Players are describing, quote, moments of pure anguish, of pure terror. I mean, that's not the kind of language you use for a fun, healthy challenge, right? That's the language of an absolute nightmare.
And this really gets to the absolute heart of the matter, that razor-thin line between a challenge that feels stimulating and an experience that just feels punishing. For thousands and thousands of players, Silksong doesn't just walk that line. It takes a running leap way over to the wrong side. Because difficulty, it isn't some objective fact. It's deeply personal. We all have our own threshold, that point where a fun puzzle suddenly turns into raw frustration. So the question isn't just, is the game too hard? It's, for whom is it too hard?
A good challenge gives you that thrill, right? That amazing feeling of finally overcoming something tough and feeling like you're making progress. But when that challenge crosses the line, it just breeds desperation. The fun completely evaporates, and you're left with that sinking question, why am I even doing this? That's the exact feeling so many players are reporting.
But look, this isn't all just about subjective feelings. We can actually point to specific objective design choices that make Silksong a far more punitive game than its predecessor, Hollow Knight, ever was.
Let's get specific here. We're talking about way more complex combat and platforming. We're talking about tons of enemies that deal double damage. Then you get to the bosses, and they start summoning helpers just to fill the screen with total chaos. And to top it all off, some of these bosses are in super inconvenient locations, which just makes the whole trial and error process an absolute grind. The result of all this is just pure sensory overload. You're not just fighting an enemy, you feel like you're fighting the entire screen. As one player put it, you have to use your eyes at the speed of light just to hope to stay alive. I mean, wow. It's a design that really demands nothing less than perfection.
So the really big question is, how? How did a game from such a beloved studio end up causing this much division? Well, the answer seems to lie in the developer's completely unwavering artistic vision.
So basically, Team Cherry developed Silksong in something of a bubble. They followed their own vision to a T, and from what we hear, they skipped any kind of large-scale public playtesting. Now, that commitment to artistic integrity, it's admirable, for sure. But it also meant this exact controversy was almost guaranteed to happen.
And the results are, well, they're plain to see right here in the game's reviews. While the overall rating is still positive for now, you can see it steadily falling as that wave of negative feedback really starts to make an impact. It's a crystal clear signal of just how many players are bouncing off this brutal design.
So, here's the crucial point. This isn't just a story about one difficult game. It's really a reflection of how much gaming and gamers themselves have changed over the last couple of decades.
I mean, think back 20 years ago. If a game was too hard, you just stopped playing. It was no big deal. But today's gaming world is a completely different place. The average player could be a working adult who has maybe an hour to play at night. For them, and for a lot of others, beating a hard game has become a kind of status symbol, and failing to finish feels like, as some have put it, an existential defeat.
The modern gamer is wrestling with all these competing pressures. They have very limited time, but a really deep need to feel like they're making progress. Many just don't have 3 hours a day to dedicate to the obsessive mastery that Silksong demands. So when their single hour of game time ends with literally nothing accomplished, it's just incredibly discouraging.
And this, right here, is where the story becomes a genuine tragedy. Because by all accounts, the core of Silksong, the exploration, the world design, that amazing sense of discovery, is absolutely extraordinary. Many are calling it one of the best Metroidvanias ever made.
So what you have is this masterpiece of world design, but it's locked behind a giant gate of punishing combat.
The very players who would fall in love with exploring its depths are the same ones being pushed away, unable to get to the best parts of the game because the difficulty is just too high.
Which leaves us with this massive, probably unanswerable question. Did Team Cherry have a right to create their uncompromising vision, even if it alienates a huge part of their audience? Or, in today's world, does a developer have some kind of responsibility to make sure their creation is accessible to the millions of people who want to experience it? Man, there's no easy answer, and it's a question our entire industry is going to be grappling with for a very long time to come.